Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy healthy start to this nice hump day Wednesday morning that we have with some new memes. That's right, Bitcoin Jesus has died for all of our sins, and we're being sent to green dildo heaven as the meme goes. So we'll actually be going over the stats alongside that a little bit later in this video, and then follow up on the short-term time frames as well, as yesterday's short-term time frame analysis played out alongside some good old Powell speech action as well. And what else? Then maybe if time does allow, we'll go into the higher term timeframes, as that's actually where I think the most interesting things are going on right now, which are most relevant not for this week actually, but for next week. So that's why I've kind of been holding off on it. Anyways, other than that, I want to once again humbly request that if you do find this content valuable or in some way valuable or I just repeated myself. So there you go. Please do consider subscribing, because it's nice. And that's a very, it's a really good way to explain it, Krown. All right, sweet. Let's just jump right into it right on over here. I wanted to start off with the lower term time frame analysis that we were looking at yesterday. HPDR indicator, we were looking at a return to the range lows plus a bounce from those range lows, thus playing out the hidden bullish divergence from the 4-hour and 6-hour time frame that was building up. And then also there was an HPDR indicator set up over here as well that we spoke about over the weekend. That was with a closure below the 50% of historical blue return range lows plus decline in volatility, blah, 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 blah. And that equates to these stats over here for the hourly, of which it does have, out of 50 tested iterations, 36 played out to the upside fashion, so about a 72% strike rate. And on average, looking at about a 2.25% move to the upside. You know, you can see that extended a little bit as there's going to be some variance in that represented by the first standard deviation right here. But basically, what did we see from that price point? Well, from that price point to about 2.25%, 23,300 or so, which is kind of where the daily settled. So ultimately, that was met. We got the short-term pullback as well. I think that was actually right off of the Powell speech. That was late last night for us over here in Dubai. So yeah, fair enough. All right, cool. So on to the next one. What's essentially next? Well, and I should probably also denote, 4-hour time frame and 6-hour time frame played out that hidden bullish evidence over here, plus the gap fill. So that was kind of an area of interest along both ways, and I'm sure it was one of the major fibs here as well on a bearish tracement. Oh, what do you know? It's the 0.5 basically on CME. CME got a little bit higher at about 23,540. Anyways, so what now? Well, if we go back into it, which I do want to do, let's go to the 4-hour HPDR ranges over here and see, what does the overall range kind of look like right now from the medium-term time frame perspective. And thus far, it actually does look like a rejection from the range highs. And basically, as long as Bitcoin's kind of oscillating between these regions, nothing new's really happened, honestly. We do see on the 4-hour time frame, the range median is right around $23,000. That is to say that if you see Bitcoin come back down below 23 and close even a lower term time frame below there, you're probably going to see another return to the lows if that does indeed happen. Until then, I don't really have strong opinions on this, as we'll see in a little bit. As far as the lower term timeframes go, my strong opinion would be on a break above 23,600 as beginning continuation to the prior high of this run, and probably new highs, probably into the middle of the $24,000 region. But for right now, I don't really see anything that's like super invigorating as far as that conversation goes. The next things that I'd like to talk about are more or less on the relatively higher term timeframes compared to what we've spoken about just yet, and that's the daily over here. Daily CME has a couple of very interesting things going on. So first and foremost, maybe not foremost, but first that we can talk about very easily is the hidden bullish divergence on the daily RSI that is baking in there, and that is available as long as Bitcoin's above about 23, a little bit above 23. That is going to be coupled with extreme lows on volatility here. So we are building up a major move. Again, I don't think it's going to be happening this week. I do think it happens next week, probably alongside the CPI prints coming out. You'd have a good economic catalyst right there. And ultimately, once we see volatility contract like this and compress, it probably is going to stay down there for a little bit of time before it expands. We want to see that moving average kind of catch up to it a little bit more, and at that point, that's when like a major move is more than likely to happen. And I'll just kind of spoil the surprise, probably looking somewhere between like a 15 to 20% move from that number. In the interim, however, something very interesting, and this would be a moving average cross that I'm much more interested in compared to the golden cross, although we will go over that good old meme a little bit later. But it would be the yellow 21 exponential and the white 200 simple moving average right here. We're about to get a bullish cross between the two, and I can just show you the last few times that that's happened. Most recently, it was over here in 2021 in August before Bitcoin rocketed off from like 40,000 to 69,000. Great number right there. Same thing over here coming off of 2020. You can see the cross happened over here. Again, higher low, higher low, higher low, and Bitcoin basically goes from 9,000 to, you know, the moon, you could say. Even on this, what I would consider a failure over here, there's still some decent upside price action from the cross given to the next high. It doesn't look like much, but it's, you know, it's about a 17% move, which would obviously put Bitcoin probably somewhere around or a little bit above $25,000 if that were to happen. And same thing over here, blah, 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 so on and so forth. You get the idea. This one, another big one to the upside. So that will probably happen today, actually, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't absolutely shit the bed on CME. In fact, we can forecast what sort of price would need to close today in order for that cross to be happening. So I will put over, nope, we need this. Yes, okay. And then I want to see between the 21 and 200. So that's the 5 and the 3. Okay, do I already have this on here? No, I do not. So I'll do it 5 and 3. Hey, there we go. All right, so it'll be the white number. And let's see. Yes, there we go. So Bitcoin, actually, it's probably not going to happen today, to be fair. Bitcoin, we need to close above 24,239 today for that to officially cross. But obviously, coming into tomorrow, that, you know, those are going to come even closer, and that number will likely massively reduce in order to produce that cross on the next closure. So yeah, anyways, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let me just bring up my notes again because my stupid phone went into not usable mode. And yeah, we can now go reference stochastic momentum, and you're also going to probably see why I just don't have strong opinions on the short term right here. Just talking about ranges basically thus far, which I understand is, you know, it's like you have a line here and a line here. It's like, it's very fucking useful. I mean, it is kind of useful, but it doesn't really make for great YouTube content, I suppose. Anyways, daily stochastic also remains with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin is below 23,600. Again, if Bitcoin were to close above that region, that was the 4-hour range high. So yeah, I would be looking for another return to the highs and probably new highs on this rally if that were to be exceeded today upon closing basis. I don't think it's that likely today. But again, Bitcoin going sideways here is actually a pretty damn good thing without breaking the current lows. 12-hour time frame showing downside pressure below 23,200, but Bitcoin's literally at that pivot right now. So again, you know, the more that Bitcoin trades sideways here, the more that these will naturally start to turn up, like we saw in the 6-hour. 22,826 is going to be the pivot right there for the next period, and 4-hour time frame will also be up above 22,968. And hourly will be flippy floppy and probably down. Yeah, it's going to be down below 23,320. So we're seeing a lot of disagreement between all of the different time frames. What does that likely align with? A little bit of sideways price action, maybe another short-term test to the downside as well. And then I'll just be looking at range resolutions as be getting another test to, you know, the next range. Anyways, we can now go over the good old meme. Yes, that's right. The golden cross, which right now I don't have the specific one on. I actually have an exponential moving average golden cross or you know, golden cross, death cross. I'll put on the simple moving averages one, which did officially happen last night. So that's bullish, right? I mean, well, like well, let's just look at the fucking results. How about that? How about that? I think I have them all charted out over here for the last 6 years, both the upside and the downside, although in this particular instance, we're really only going to be interested with the upside ones because you want to compare like to like. And as you can see, you know, all crosses thus far have been met with upside price action. Every single one, even the ones that I consider a failure, like this one right here. This was coming off of, or this was right before the Rona dump in 2020 February. Even that one almost had like a 10% move to the upside. And if we go back all the way to the Genesis, we'll see an actual failure. I think, yeah, there was a full-on failure right here. But well, even this one, I mean, you know, would this have been tradable? No. Did produce about a 6% move to the upside. But the problem is when using a moving average cross like this is that there's just not that many iterations. So I've gone ahead and back tested them all. There's been seven upside golden crosses on the daily time frame in Bitcoin's full history. So I want to produce a little bit more of a nuanced analysis with this, because I actually moving average is a big part of my own game. I don't use these particular ones, nor do I care about them, and I think that they're massively misunderstood. And you can't just like put two moving averages on a chart, or any moving averages on a chart, and just be like, oh, they cross, so I buy here. Like, that's gonna be a terrible strategy. No shit. Like, anyone with a fucking eyes can see that. But there are some nuances with this one that do make some crosses better than others. And as you can see, if you parse the data, 3 out of the 7 prior moving average crosses, golden crosses, had humongous returns. Like, we're talking about 5,000%, 4,000%, 600%. That's fucking phenomenal. At least I would think so. Now, some of these were due to the earlier nature of Bitcoin, just having significant upside. But even the one from, it was mostly due to the earlier nature of Bitcoin. But here's the thing. What they all have in common between those two, and the most recent one was like 600%, by the way. That was from 2020, $9,000 to, $65,000 in 2021, about 2021. The thing with these, the nuance here that I'd actually give you is that there was something very interesting about them. The 200 moving average coming into that cross had either a neutral or positive slope. So I'll give you an example. Let's go to this one right here. Very obvious one, right? Okay, so cross happens over here. The 200 simple, which is the white moving average, has a positive slope. For example, you get into trouble when the 200 simple has a negative slope, like you see on this failure over here. In fact, I think definitely all of the least impressive results do have that sort of a curvature going on. Same thing over here on this one. Let me just mark it off because it's not on this particular chart. But again, 200 simple has a negative slope. Puts in about a 10% move. It's nice, but it ain't nothing like the other ones, right? So I would say that if you are going to look at this from a more nuanced perspective, you really want to be seeing the 200 simple having an upside slope as well. Now, with that said, if we were to include all of the data here, the average return has been like over 1,400%. It's really fucking good, obviously, over the course of an average of about 230 days. But there's a lot of variance in here when you don't separate the data between the 200 simple having an upslope or not. So if I do separate it, then these are the stats you get. Out of the 7 times, only 3 of them have had the upslope. And the average return for those is closer to 3,300% over the course of almost 500 days. So am I saying that that's what's going to happen right here? No. Why? Because it's a fucking meme, and because it's only happened 3 times in Bitcoin's history, and because that's really not enough to be going off of, at least in my opinion, for anything trading worthwhile. But it does provide, some, an interesting thing to talk about long term. And it would be another thing on the long-term bullish side as well. And in this case, do we have a positive slope on the 200 simple? Slightly positive, mostly neutral. But I would say that would give it the opportunity for being one of the better ones. So just be another bullish thing. I think that there's other things that on the board that make a lot more sense and mean a lot more. One of them that we'll talk about relatively soon is this one over here, but it's just not relevant probably until next week. But basically, this is where I'm getting the idea that the longer that Bitcoin goes sideways above 22,500, basically on a daily closing basis, the more and more likely this is going to be to move to the upside. So it's kind of a race against time as we see the daily kind of have a bullish reset here. There is also a nice trend line coming in from the last few major lows. So I expect that we do see this one still kind of move sideways in the overall daily range. If that does happen coming into next week's, especially the CPI print, the probabilities are going to be in favor of the upside. At least that's what that particular setup over here has been tested for an almost 86% hit rate. In this case, that would be upside moves. But I'll save that for another video. So yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As usual, I want to be wishing you the best. Forgot to, I'll just shill Bybit really quick. Bybit has their promotion going on for 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. I actually do think that that's rather a rather good promotion, even though I do kind of, give them a little bit of shit where it's like, oh, shill them. And then also, it's a great place to get wrecked. Yes. But at the same time, that is a pretty damn good promotion as far as like, more active traders goes, because, well, that's just more money in your pocket. Other than that, and that's available in the link description below, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, other than that, want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.